3 weeks earlier, Amara had stood in a glass tower in Gangnam, staring at a contract that promised salvation. 80 million Korean wons per month. 3 months guaranteed. Personal security detail for Park Ji-hoon, CEO of Park Tech Industries. Standard executive protection, board meetings, public appearances, the occasional paranoid investor. Easy money for someone who'd spent 5 years keeping Lagos politicians alive through election season. She'd signed without reading the fine print. Chisholm needed university tuition. Keen needed surgery for his asthma. Her visa renewal needed 15 million Korean won she didn't have. Mathematics didn't lie. Neither did desperation. The penthouse smelled like expensive liquor and blood. Amara shoved Ji-hoon against the wall the moment his security team secured the building, her forearm across his throat, rage and adrenaline making her hands shake.
Talk. Now.
Before I walk out and let whoever wants you dead finish the job. He didn't fight her. That was the first surprise. The second was his eyes. No fear, just resignation, like he'd been expecting this conversation since the day they met. My family doesn't make computer chips, he said quietly in English. We move other things. Through Busan ports. Through Incheon airport. Things that governments prefer to pretend don't exist. Amara's grip tightened. You're a drug dealer. Among other things. He didn't look away. My grandfather started with protection rackets in the 1970s. My father expanded into smuggling. I inherited an empire I never wanted. And yes, people are trying to kill me because I'm trying to dismantle it. She released him, stepping back like he was contaminated. You lied to me. I omitted. There's a difference. Not to me. Amara headed for the door, already calculating bus routes back to her shoebox apartment. She'd survived Lagos corruption by knowing when to walk away. This was that moment. 240 million Korean wons. She stopped, hand on the doorknob. 3 times your current rate. Ji-hoon continued, his voice careful.
Plus permanent residency sponsorship.
Plus relocation costs for your siblings. I know you're sending money home every month. I know your brother needs medical care. I know your visa expires in 43 days. Amara turned slowly. You investigated me. I investigate everyone. It's how I've stayed alive this long. He moved to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering sprawl. The people trying to kill me aren't rival gangs or police. They're inside my own organization. I've been building legitimate businesses for 16 years. Restaurants, construction, scholarships. Exit strategies for people who want out. My uncle and certain board members think I'm destroying what 3 generations built. So hire a Korean bodyguard. Someone who understands your world. I need someone who doesn't understand it. Someone who can't be bought by family connections or threatened by organizational politics. Someone who saves lives because it's what they do, not because of who signs their checks. He met her eyes in the window's reflection. I've watched your interviews from Lagos. Officer Amara Okonkwo, who testified against her own superior when you found evidence he was taking cartel money. You lost your career. Your partner was killed 3 months later in what everyone called a random robbery. The room tilted. Don't you dare. It wasn't random. I know because I recognize assassinations when I see them. Just like I recognize that you came to Korea to escape the same violence I'm trying to escape.
His voice softened.
We're both trying to be different from what our circumstances made us. Help me survive long enough to actually succeed. Amara's hands were shaking. She thought of Oluwa bleeding out on that Lagos street, his last words asking her to take care of his daughter. She thought of Chisholm's last email. Keen's getting worse. The hospital won't see him without deposit. Please, sister. 3 months, she said finally. The second I think you're lying about going legitimate, I'm gone. The second innocent people get hurt because of you, I'm gone. And if your family business involves anything I can't stomach, we're done. Understood? Understood. Ji-hoon extended his hand. Thank you, Amara.
She didn't take it.
Don't thank me yet. And don't think this money makes us friends. You're a job. Nothing more. But even as she said it, something in his eyes made her wonder if she was lying to herself. The Park family compound looked like a historical drama set, traditional Hanok architecture wrapped around courtyards where modern sculptures stood like silent witnesses. Armed men in expensive suits pretended to be gardeners. Cameras hid behind decorative eaves. Every stone pathway had pressure sensors. This wasn't a home. It was a fortress pretending to be art. Miss Okonkwo. The woman who met Amara at the main gate was stunning in the way Korean celebrities were stunning. Porcelain skin, designer everything, a smile that never reached her eyes.
I'm Min Seo Kim.
But please call me Michelle.
Jehones fiancée.
The word hit Amara harder than it should have. He didn't mention a fiancé. He doesn't mention a lot of things. Michelle's laugh was practiced music. 3 years together, and I'm still discovering secrets. That's love, isn't it? The endless unveiling. She linked her arm through Amara's like they were old friends.
Come.
I'll show you to your quarters. We're so grateful you're here. The last bodyguard quit after the incident with Ji-hoon's uncle. What incident? A misunderstanding about loyalty. Nothing you need to worry about. Michelle's grip tightened slightly. You're here to keep him safe, not get involved in family politics. Remember that, and we'll all get along beautifully. The West Wing suite was larger than Amara's entire Lagos apartment had been. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked manicured gardens. The bathroom had a soaking tub that could fit 3 people. The closet was stocked with clothes in her exact size. How did you? Ji-hoon is thorough. Michelle examined her perfectly manicured nails. He had you researched the moment you saved that politician's daughter last year. The viral video of you taking down those kidnappers? Impressive. He knew he needed someone like you long before he needed you specifically. Amara opened the closet, finding not just clothes but tactical gear, weapons, everything a bodyguard would need. This must have taken weeks to prepare. Months, actually. Ji-hoon has been planning this for a very long time. Longer than even I knew. Something flickered across Michelle's perfect face. Annoyance, maybe, or hurt. It was gone before Amara could name it. Dinner is at 7. Ji-hoon's father will want to meet you. Wear something nice, but not too nice. Day 1 Park respects competence more than beauty. After Michelle left, Amara checked the suite for surveillance. She found 3 cameras, disabled 2, left 1 active. Let them think she was competent but not paranoid. Let them underestimate her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ji-hoon. Training room. 5 a.m. tomorrow. Bring your skills. She typed back, I don't take orders from clients. His response came immediately. Good. I don't want someone who does. At 7 sharp, Amara entered a dining room that smelled of old money and older secrets. Park Dae-won sat at the head of a table that could seat 20. He was in his early 60s, silver-haired, with eyes that calculated the worth of everything they touched. Miss Okonkwo. He didn't rise. My son tells me you're Nigerian. Lagos, specifically. Yes, sir. Dangerous city. I had business there once. Lost 3 men to kidnappers. He gestured to a chair.
Seat.
Show me your hands. Amara sat, but didn't extend her hands. Dae-won's lips twitched. Almost a smile.
Good.
Never give what isn't demanded. My head of security, Han Soo-jin, will test you tomorrow. If you pass, you keep the job. If you fail, He made a dismissive gesture. We'll compensate you for your time, and you'll leave quietly. Do you understand? I understand you're used to people being afraid of you. Amara met his eyes. I'm not here to be afraid. I'm here to keep your son alive. Everything else is theater. The room went silent. Michelle's chopsticks froze halfway to her mouth. Ji-hoon, sitting to his father's right, looked like he was trying not to smile. Dae-won studied Amara for a long moment. Then he nodded once. You'll do. Welcome to the family, Miss Okonkwo. Try not to die too quickly. Dinner was an education in Park family dynamics. Dae-won ruled through silence and strategic questions. Ji-hoon's uncle, Park Sang-min, was all warmth and jokes, which made Amara trust him less than his cold brother. Michelle played the perfect fiancée, attentive and graceful, never saying anything that mattered. And Ji-hoon watched everything with tired eyes that had seen too much too young. After dinner, he found Amara in the garden. You handle my father well.
Evehendeld vers.
Lagos police chiefs make Korean crime lords look like children. Is that what you think I am? A child playing at being dangerous? Amara turned to face him. In the moonlight, he looked younger, less like the heir to an empire and more like a man carrying weight he didn't choose. I think you're trapped. And I think you've been trapped so long you've forgotten what freedom looks like. Maybe. He moved closer. Or maybe I'm just waiting for the right moment to break free. The right person to trust. Don't trust me, Amara said. I'm here for money. That's all. Liar. His smile was sad. You're here because you couldn't save your partner, and you think saving me will fix that. But guilt doesn't work that way, Amara. I know. I've been trying to fix my mother's death for 16 years. Before she could respond, he walked away, leaving her alone with the koi pond and the uncomfortable feeling that he saw her more clearly than she saw herself. The training session at 5 a.m. was brutal. Han Soo-jin moved like violence incarnate. Former 707th Special Mission Battalion, Ji-hoon had explained, which meant South Korea's elite special forces. He tested Amara with Taekwondo and Hapkido, expecting to overpower her with strength and technique. Instead, she used dam boxing, the angular Nigerian style her uncle had taught her, and turned Soo-jin's momentum against him. When she swept his legs and locked him in a submission hold, Ji-hoon actually laughed from his position against the wall.
Ja, Soo-jin.
I told you she was different. Soo-jin tapped out, stood, and bowed to Amara with genuine respect. Teach me that style. I've never seen anything like it. Maybe. Amara released him. If you tell me who really wants Ji-hoon dead. Soo-jin's expression closed. That's not my story to tell. Then we have nothing to teach each other. After Soo-jin left, Ji-hoon joined Amara on the training mat. You don't trust anyone, do you? Trust is a luxury. I'm in the survival business. Good. So am I. He pulled off his shirt, revealing intricate tattoos across his chest and shoulders, dragons and tigers in traditional Korean style, interwoven with flowers that looked like they were growing from scars. Let me show you something. The legitimate businesses I mentioned? They're real. Today, we're visiting one. The restaurant in Hongdae was called Second Chances. It didn't look like much from the outside. Weathered sign, cracked sidewalk, the smell of frying garlic and gochujang drifting through open windows. But inside, the kitchen moved with military precision. Ex-gang members, Ji-hoon explained, who wanted out but had nowhere else to go. I pay them 30% above market rate, he said as they watched the lunch rush. Give them housing, health insurance, paths to legitimate careers. Some have been here for 5 years, some for 5 weeks. But they're all trying to be different from what they were. How many restaurants? 15 in Seoul, 8 in Busan, 3 in Daegu. He ordered jjajangmyeon for them both, speaking comfortably with the cook who called him Sajangnam, with genuine respect, not fear. Also 2 construction companies that only hire ex-convicts. A scholarship fund for kids from poor neighborhoods. A clinic that treats anyone regardless of documentation status. Amara watched him interact with the staff. Easy, warm, remembering names and asking about families. This wasn't performance. This was someone who genuinely cared. Your father knows about this? He thinks I'm wasting money on charity projects to ease my conscience. He doesn't know I'm building infrastructure to collapse his empire from within. Every person I pull out of the organization is one less soldier for him. Every legitimate business is one less front for smuggling. Ji-hoon's smile was sharp. I've been at war with my father for 16 years. He just doesn't realize it yet. The explosion happened during dessert. One moment, Amara was teaching Ji-hoon how to say, "This food is delicious" in Igbo. The next, the restaurant's front window shattered inward, and the world became fire and noise and screaming. Training took over. Amara grabbed Ji-hoon, pulled him under the table, covered his body with hers as debris rained down.
Her ears rang.
Her shoulder burned, cut by flying glass. But Ji-hoon was breathing beneath her, coughing but alive. "Stay down," she commanded in Korean, then English, then Igbo, her brain cycling through languages like emergency protocols. The second explosion came from the kitchen. Customers screamed and ran. Amara scanned for shooters, for secondary threats, her Glock already in her hand. But there was nothing. Just smoke and chaos, and the cook, the one who'd called Ji-hoon Sajangnam with such respect, lying in a pool of blood near the stove. Soo-jin and his team arrived within minutes, securing the scene. Paramedics rushed in. Police cordoned the area. And through it all, Ji-hoon knelt beside the dying cook, holding his hand and speaking softly in Korean. Amara caught fragments. "Your daughter will be taken care of. The scholarship fund. I promise."
I'm sorry.
"I'm so sorry." The cook died before the ambulance could transport him. In the car back to the compound, Ji-hoon's hand shook.
Kim Tae-sung.
Father of 2. 5 years clean from the organization. He just wanted to cook.
Who did this?
Amara's shoulder throbbed where glass had sliced through her jacket. My uncle. Or my father. Or both. A message that my charity projects are making me weak. Ji-hoon's voice was hollow. They'll keep killing everyone around me until I give up or die trying. Then we make sure you don't die. Why? He turned to her, eyes red. Why do you care? You said you're here for money. Amara thought of Alyua dying in her arms. Of Chisholm's desperate emails. Of every person she'd failed to save because she trusted the wrong people or moved too slowly or believed in systems that were designed to fail them. Because, she said quietly, someone has to give a damn. Might as well be me. Their eyes held. Something shifted. The first crack in the walls they'd both built. Then Ji-hoon's phone buzzed. A text from Michelle. "Thank God you're safe. I was so worried." But the timestamp showed she'd sent it before the news had even gone public. Before anyone outside the compound should have known about the explosion. Amara saw Ji-hoon notice it too. Saw the realization dawn in his eyes. Michelle had known. Which meant Michelle was involved. And if Ji-hoon's fiancée was part of the conspiracy, then no one in his world could be trusted. No one except the bodyguard he'd hired to keep him alive. Michelle invited Amara to lunch 3 days after the bombing. Not a request, a summons, delivered by a maid with downcast eyes who whispered, "Be careful," in English before scurrying away. The restaurant was in Cheongdam-dong, where the wives of chaebols and criminals ate 200,000 Korean won salads and discussed charity galas that were really money laundering operations. Michelle arrived 15 minutes late in a Chanel suit that cost more than Amara's yearly salary in Lagos, kissing both her cheeks like they were old friends. "You've been good for him," Michelle said, ordering wine Amara couldn't pronounce. Ji-hoon's been smiling more. "Sleeping better. I was worried when he hired you, a woman, spending so much time together, but you're professional. I appreciate that." The subtext was clear. Know your place. "I'm here to do a job," Amara said. "Of course. And you're doing it so well." Michelle leaned forward, voice dropping to intimate conspiracy. "Can I confess something? Woman to woman." Amara's instincts screamed danger, but she nodded. "Sometimes I wonder if Ji-hoon loves me or loves the idea of me. The perfect wife for the perfect heir. Someone who can navigate both worlds, Korean high society and international business. Someone who makes him look legitimate." Michelle's laugh was bitter. 4 years together, and I'm not sure he's ever really seen me. Not the way he looks at you. He doesn't look at me anyway. Liar. Michelle's smile never wavered. "I've watched you two train together. The way he laughs at your terrible Korean pronunciation. The way you soften when he talks about his mother. It's almost sweet. Almost." The wine arrived. Michelle took a long sip, watching Amara over the rim. "I need to tell you something. About that bombing." Amara's pulse quickened.
I'm listening. I'm NS.
National Intelligence Service. Embedded in the Park family for 3 years. Michelle pulled out her phone, showed Amara credentials that looked official, photo ID, badge number, authorization codes. "My real name is Kim Min-seo. And Ji-hoon was supposed to die in that restaurant explosion." The restaurant sounds faded to white noise. "You tried to kill him." "I tried to save hundreds of people by eliminating the heir to a criminal empire. Do you know how many lives the Park family has destroyed? How many women trafficked, how many children addicted, how many families ruined?" Michelle's voice was passionate, convincing. "Ji-hoon's legitimate businesses are window dressing. He's still his father's son, still complicit in every crime the Parks commit. He's trying to go legitimate. He's been trying for 16 years. How many more years before he actually succeeds? How many more Kim Tae-sungs die while Ji-hoon plays hero?" Michelle leaned back. "The explosion wasn't supposed to kill bystanders. My team miscalculated. And now I need your help to finish the job cleanly." Amara's hand moved toward her concealed weapon. "You're insane.
I'm realistic.
And I know things about you, Amara. I know about Officer Okonkwo, who testified against her superior. I know about the cartel boss who walked free because of political connections. I know about Alyua's daughter, Zainab, who's 11 now and living with an aunt who can barely afford to feed her." Michelle slid an envelope across the table. 500 million Korean wons.
Permanent résidency.
Visas for Chisholm and Keen. And a trust fund for Zainab. All you have to do is step aside when the time comes. When what time comes? The engagement party.
2 weeks from now.
500 guests. Ji-hoon will give a speech about our future together. And during that speech, he'll have a heart attack. Tragic.
Sudden.
A genetic condition no one knew about. Michelle's eyes were cold. "You'll try to save him, of course. That's what good bodyguards do. But sometimes people die despite our best efforts. You know that better than anyone." Amara stood, her chair scraping loudly. People stared. She didn't care. "I'm not helping you kill him. Then you're helping him continue his family's legacy of violence. Every day Ji-hoon lives, more people suffer." Michelle stood too, graceful even in confrontation. "Think about it. Think about Zainab. Think about your siblings. Think about all the good you could do with that money. You have until the engagement party to decide. I've already decided. Have you? Michelle smiled. Because I've been watching you fall for him. And the question isn't whether you'll help me kill Ji-hoon. The question is whether you'll be able to live with yourself when you choose a crime lord over innocent victims. Over your own family. Amara walked out without paying. Let Michelle handle the bill. Let her handle everything except the one thing she wanted most. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She paced her suite, replaying Michelle's words, examining the evidence she'd been shown. The NIS credentials looked real. The logic was sound. If Ji-hoon died, the Park Empire would fracture. His father and uncle would fight for control. The NIS could swoop in during the chaos. But something felt wrong. Michelle's story was too perfect. Her timing too convenient. And the way she described the bombing, miscalculated. As if Kim Tae-sung's death was acceptable collateral damage. At 2 a.m., Amara's door opened quietly. Ji-hoon stood there in pajama pants and nothing else, his tattoos visible in the moonlight filtering through her windows. Can't sleep either? He asked. You shouldn't be here. Probably not. He closed the door behind him. But Michelle had lunch with you today, and you've been different since. Distracted. And I need to know, what did she tell you? Amara weighed her options. Trust him with the truth and risk him doing something rash. Lie and protect him from knowledge that could get him killed. Or find a middle ground. She told me she loves you, Amara said finally. And that she's worried I'm getting too close. It wasn't entirely a lie. Ji-hoon moved to her window, looking out at the gardens. Michelle doesn't love me. I've known that for a while. She loves being Min Seo Kim, fiancée of Park Ji-hoon. The status, the power, the image. He turned to face Amara. I hired a private investigator 6 months ago. Found out she's been working with someone in my family. Planning something. I don't know all the details yet, but I know our engagement is part of a larger scheme. Why haven't you confronted her? Because I need to know who else is involved. If I tip my hand too early, they'll just kill me faster. He smiled sadly. I've been living in a cage of conspiracies for so long, I've gotten used to the bars. But you're different. You're not playing games. You just want to keep me alive. That's rare in my world. Precious, even. He crossed to where she stood, stopping close enough that she could feel the heat from his skin. Amara, if Michelle offered you money to betray me, I need to know. Not because I'll be angry, because I need to know who to trust. Can you trust anyone in your world? I'm starting to think I can trust you. His hand rose, hesitated, then gently touched her cheek where a cut from the bombing had scabbed over. You took glass for me. Covered my body with yours. No one's done that since my mother died. No one's treated me like I'm worth saving instead of using. Amara's breath caught. This close, she could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight of 16 years of war against his own family. And something else. Hope, fragile and desperate, that maybe she was exactly what he claimed. Someone who saved people, because it's what she did.
Yeon.
Don't. He stepped back. Don't tell me anything you're not ready to say. I just needed you to know that whatever Michelle offered you, I'll triple it. Not because I'm trying to buy your loyalty, but because you deserve to be paid what you're actually worth. And what you're worth is more than money can measure. He left before she could respond. Amara sat on her bed, head in her hands, and tried to figure out which version of the truth to believe. Michelle's story about justice for victims. Ji-hoon's story about legitimate transformation. Or the possibility that they were both lying and the real truth was buried so deep she'd never find it in time. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Director Han Jae-won, National Intelligence Service. We need to talk about Kim Min-seo. She's not who she claims to be. Meet me tomorrow. Come alone. Amara stared at the message until her vision blurred. One thing was certain. She was standing in the middle of a war zone, and everyone around her was armed with secrets that could kill. Director Han Jae-won looked nothing like a spy. He looked like someone's grandfather, cardigan, wire-rimmed glasses, thermos of tea he poured into paper cups at the Honging Park bench where they met. But his eyes were sharp, calculating, missing nothing about Amara's body language or the concealed weapon at her back. Thank you for coming, Miss Okonkwo. His English was impeccable. I know you have no reason to trust me, so I'll start with proof. He handed her a tablet. Everything you need to know about Kim Min-seo. Amara scrolled through files. Official NIS records showing Michelle Min-seo had been an operative for 5 years before going dark 18 months ago. Surveillance photos of her meeting with Park Sang-min in places she shouldn't have been. Bank records showing transfers of 2.3 billion Korean wons from Park family accounts to offshore holdings in the Cayman Islands. And a death certificate for Kim Hae-rin, Min-seo's sister, dated 15 years ago. Wait. Amara stopped scrolling. Michelle told me her sister was trafficked by the Park family. That's why she's doing this. Kim Hae-rin died in a car accident when she was 17. Min-seo was driving. Drunk. Director Han's voice was matter-of-fact. The NIS recruited Min-seo 2 years later, used her guilt as motivation. She was a good operative until she realized she could make more money working for herself than for the government. She's stealing from the Parks. She and Sang-min are partners. They've been embezzling for years, building their own empire within the Park empire. The plan is simple. Kill Dae-won and Ji-hoon at the engagement party, let Sang-min take control, then use their leverage to turn the organization legitimate, while keeping the profitable parts hidden better. Min-seo becomes Mrs. Park and inherits Ji-hoon's portion. Together, they control everything. Amara's stomach turned. She offered me money to help. I know. We've had you under surveillance since you entered the compound. Director Han poured more tea. Which brings me to my offer. Help us stop Min-seo and Sang-min, protect Ji-hoon, gather evidence, and when we make our move at the engagement party, testify about everything you've witnessed. In exchange, permanent residency, visas for your siblings, and immunity from prosecution for any involvement with the Park family. What about Ji-hoon? That depends on him. If he cooperates, testifies against his father, and provides evidence to dismantle the organization, we can offer him witness protection. A new life somewhere safe. But he has to choose it. We can't force him. Amara thought about Ji-hoon's 16 years of legitimate businesses, his quiet war against his own legacy. He's already been trying to dismantle the empire. He's been doing it for years. I know. We've been watching. Director Han's expression softened slightly. Ji-hoon is an anomaly. Most heirs embrace their family business. He's been actively destroying it. That's why we're willing to work with him. But he needs to make a clean break. No half measures. No thinking he can reform the unreformable. You want him to betray his father. I want him to save himself. There's a difference. Director Han stood, adjusting his cardigan. You have 1 week until the engagement party. I suggest you tell Ji-hoon everything. He deserves to know who he's been sleeping next to for 3 years. And you deserve to know what side of this war you're really on. After Director Han left, Amara sat alone watching the Han River flow past, thinking about all the versions of truth she'd been given. Michelle's justified vengeance. Director Han's legal justice. Ji-hoon's slow transformation. Her own desperate need for redemption. Maybe they were all true. Maybe they were all lies. Maybe truth was something that changed depending on who was telling the story. Her phone buzzed. Ji-hoon, where are you? She texted back, Han River. Thinking. Want company? Or should I leave you alone? Amara looked at the message for a long time. Then she called him. Come, she said when he answered. We need to talk. About everything. He arrived 20 minutes later, out of breath like he'd run the whole way. They walked along the river path in silence until Amara found words that felt true. Michelle isn't NIS. She's a rogue agent working with your uncle to steal your family's empire. They're planning to kill you and your father at the engagement party. I have proof. She showed him everything on Director Han's tablet. Watched his face as he processed each betrayal, the embezzled money, the fabricated sister, the offshore accounts, the meetings with Sang-min. When he finally looked up, his eyes were wet. 3 years, he whispered in Korean, then English, then Korean again, like he needed multiple languages to contain the pain. I gave her 3 years of my life. Introduced her to my mother before she died. Shared my dreams of going legitimate. Let her into every part of my world. And it was all.
Akon.
Yes. Ji-hoon sat heavily on a bench. Did you know? When she offered you money, did you know she was lying? I suspected. My instincts told me something was wrong. But I didn't have proof until today. Why tell me now? You could have taken her money and walked away. Let me die. Gotten rich and saved your siblings without risking anything. Amara sat beside him. Because saving you isn't just about money anymore. It's about, she stopped, searching for words in English, then trying Igbo, then settling on Korean.
Boro na mohapra gakean dvojnyu, mogaan na ime.
If I let you die, I die inside too. You understand. You're saying I matter to you. I'm saying you're not just a job anymore. And I hate that because jobs are simple. Jobs don't make you feel things. But you, she met his eyes. You make me feel like maybe I can save someone this time. Like maybe redemption is possible. Ji-hoon reached for her hand.
Amara.
The real NIS, Director Han. What does he want? For you to testify against your father. Dismantle the organization completely. Witness protection. New life. And if I refuse? Then you die at your engagement party. Or you live and stay trapped forever. Those are your options. They sat in silence, hands clasped, watching the river flow past, like time they were running out of. Finally, Ji-hoon spoke. I need to see my father. Tonight. Tell him everything about Sang-min and Min-seo. Give him a choice. Help me or watch his empire burn. That's dangerous. Everything about my life is dangerous. But my father, despite everything he's done, everything he is, he's still my father. He deserves to know his brother is planning to kill him. What he does with that information will tell me everything I need to know about who he really is. And if he chooses Sang-min over you, then I'll know where I stand. Ji-hoon squeezed her hand. Will you come with me? Face him together. Amara thought about all the ways this could go wrong. Day one could kill them both. Could side with his brother. Could use the information to consolidate power and eliminate everyone. But she thought about Ji-hoon sitting beside her, hand in hers, choosing vulnerability over self-preservation. Choosing truth over survival. Yes, she said.
Together.
They stood. Walked back to the compound hand in hand. And as the gates closed behind them, Amara realized she'd made her choice. Not for money. Not for redemption. But for something simpler and more complicated. She'd chosen him. Now, they just had to survive long enough for it to matter. Park Dae-won's study smelled like old books and older grudges. He sat behind a desk that had belonged to his father, the man who'd started the empire, and listened to Ji-hoon's confession without interrupting. Michelle's betrayal. Sang-min's conspiracy. The planned double assassination. The offshore accounts. When Ji-hoon finished, Dae-won poured 3 glasses of whiskey, expensive, Scottish, older than Amara. He slid one to his son, one to Amara, kept one for himself. "My brother," he said finally in Korean, then switched to English for Amara's benefit, "has always been ambitious. I knew this. But I thought family meant something. I thought blood was stronger than greed. What will you do?" Ji-hoon's hand shook slightly, holding his glass. Dae-won stood, moved to the window overlooking the compound. "When your mother died, I made a choice. I could become softer, honor her memory by being different, or I could become harder, bury the pain under power and control." He turned to face his son. "I chose wrong.
I know that now.
Every day I chose empire over you, chose legacy over love. And it cost me everything that mattered." "Abog," Ji-hoon started, but Dae-won raised a hand. "Let me finish. Please." His voice cracked slightly. "You've been building legitimate businesses for 16 years. You think I didn't know? You think I'm blind to my own son's war against me?"
Asad smiled.
"I've been watching you honor your mother's memory by being exactly what I couldn't be. And I've been too proud, too stubborn, too committed to this life to tell you that I'm proud of you. That she would be proud of you." The silence that followed was heavy with years of unspoken pain. "I'll help you," Dae-won said finally. "Not because I deserve redemption. I don't. But because you deserve a chance to be free of this legacy. And because my brother needs to learn that betraying family has consequences." "What's the plan?" Amara asked, her bodyguard instincts cutting through the emotional moment. "The engagement party happens as scheduled. Sang-min and Min-seo believe they're in control. We let them think that." Dae-won pulled out a tablet, showing security footage of the compound. "I'll have my people, the ones loyal to me, not my brother, positioned throughout the venue. Director Han's NIS team can coordinate with them. When Sang-min makes his move, we take him down. Publicly. In front of everyone. And Michelle?" Ji-hoon's voice was hollow. "She faces justice. Whatever that looks like." Dae-won met his son's eyes.
I'm sorry.
"I know you loved her. I loved who I thought she was. The real Min-seo is someone I never knew." They planned through the night. Dae-won revealed that he'd been gathering evidence against Sang-min for months, suspicious of his brother's activities, but lacking proof. Ji-hoon provided details about Michelle's movements, her contacts, her patterns. Amara coordinated with Director Han via encrypted messages, ensuring the NIS team would be ready. As dawn broke, Dae-won asked everyone else to leave except Ji-hoon and Amara. "I need to say something," he told his son. "When your mother was dying in the hospital, those last hours, she made me promise to take care of you. Not to make you strong or powerful or feared. Just to make sure you were happy, safe, loved." Tears ran down Dae-won's face, the first emotion Amara had seen from him. "I broke that promise. Every day for 16 years, I broke it. I chose this empire over your happiness."
And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Ji-hoon crossed to his father and embraced him. Two men who'd been at war with each other, finally finding common ground in grief and regret. Amara looked away, giving them privacy. Her phone buzzed. A text from Michelle. "Dinner tonight? Just us girls? I want to apologize for being pushy at lunch." The fox was getting nervous.
Good.
Amara texted back. "Sure. Where?" "My place. 7 p.m. Casual. Wine and honesty. See you then." She showed the message to Ji-hoon. "Michelle wants to meet. Probably to feel out if I've told you anything. Can you handle her alone?
Eve handel vers.
Amara checked her concealed holster. Besides, you need time with your father. You've got 16 years of conversation to catch up on. That evening, Amara arrived at Michelle's apartment in Gangnam, sleek, modern, expensive in that way that screamed new money trying to look old. Michelle answered the door in yoga pants and a silk blouse, holding a wine glass like a weapon. Thank you for coming. Her smile was warm, genuine, the perfect performance. I wanted to clear the air. I think we got off on the wrong foot. Did we? I was too aggressive. Talking about killing Ji-hoon like it was simple. You care about him. I can see that now. And I respect it, even if I don't agree with it. Michelle poured wine, handed Amara a glass. So let me try again. Forget the NIS story. Forget the mission. Let's just talk woman to woman. You and I both know Ji-hoon is trapped in a life that's killing him slowly. The question is, which is more merciful? Letting him die quickly and escape, or letting him live in this cage until it destroys him? That's not for either of us to decide. Isn't it, though? Michelle sat on her pristine white couch. You've seen his world. The violence. The compromises. The way he pretends to sleep at night, but you can hear him pacing. The way he paints the same picture of his mother over and over because he's forgotten what she smelled like. The way he looks at you like your salvation when you're just delaying the inevitable. Amara's chest tightened. You don't know him. I know him better than you ever will. 3 years, remember? 3 years of watching him struggle with who he is versus who he wants to be. And I'm telling you, as someone who genuinely cared about him once, before this became about money, the kindest thing you can do is let him go. By killing him. By freeing him from his father's expectations, from Sangmin's ambitions, from the impossible task of reforming an empire built on blood, from himself. Michelle leaned forward. Take the money, Amara. Save your siblings. Save Alyua's daughter. Save yourself. You can't save Ji-hoon. No one can.
He's already dead.
He just doesn't know it yet. Amara stood. You're wrong. Am I? Ask yourself, in 6 months, where do you think Ji-hoon will be? Running his art galleries and scholarship funds? Or buried in a grave next to his mother because someone else got to him first? Michelle stood too. I'm not the villain here. I'm just the one willing to be honest about what has to happen.
No.
You're the one who convinced yourself that murder is mercy, that betrayal is love, that stealing is justice. Amara moved toward the door. And when this is over, when you're in prison or dead, or whatever happens to people like you, Ji-hoon will still be alive. Still fighting. Still becoming something better than what he was born into. And you'll be nothing. A footnote. A mistake he made when he was young enough to believe pretty faces couldn't hide ugly souls. Michelle's mask finally cracked. You self-righteous bitch. You think you're saving him? You're condemning him. When he dies, and he will die, Amara, with or without my help, his blood will be on your hands. Just like Alyua's blood. Just like everyone you've ever failed to save. Amara left without responding. Outside, in the elevator, she let herself shake. Let the fear and anger and doubt wash over her. Because Michelle was right about one thing, people in Ji-hoon's world didn't get happy endings. They got survival if they were lucky, martyrdom if they weren't. But maybe, just maybe, with enough people willing to fight for him, Ji-hoon could be the exception. Her phone rang.
Yehon.
How did it go? She's scared, which means she's dangerous. We need to move up the timeline. Director Han called. He agrees. Engagement party is in 4 days. Can you be ready? Amara thought about Legos. About Alyua dying in her arms. About every person she'd failed because she hesitated or doubted or trusted the wrong people. Yes, she said. I'm ready. Good. Because this time, we save each other.
No martyrs. No heroic sacrifices.
We both walk away alive. Deal?
Deal.
But as she headed back to the compound, Amara wondered if either of them really believed that was possible. 4 days until the engagement party. 4 days to prepare for war disguised as celebration. Ji-hoon and Amara trained together every morning, hapkido and dam, taekwondo and improvisation, building muscle memory for a fight they knew was coming. Soo-jin joined them, along with 4 other security team members Day One had personally vetted. They practiced scenarios, evacuation routes, emergency protocols. What to do if someone pulled a gun during the ceremony. What to do if someone pulled 10 guns. You're preparing for a war, Soo-jin said after a particularly brutal session. This isn't normal bodyguard work. Nothing about this situation is normal, Amara replied, wiping sweat from her face. Do you trust him? Park Ji-hoon? Really trust him? Yes. Why? Soo-jin's eyes were skeptical. You've known him 3 weeks. He's the heir to a criminal empire. His fiancée is a con artist. His uncle wants him dead. His father is, well, Park Dae-won. What exactly about this situation makes you think Ji-hoon is worth dying for? Amara thought about the question. About Ji-hoon teaching her Korean poetry in his mother's voice. About him remembering the names of every person who worked at his restaurants. About the way he painted hope into canvases when everything around him was dark. Because, she said finally, he's trying. In a world that would be easier if he just accepted his legacy and became his father, he's trying every single day to be different. That's rare. That's worth protecting.
Soo-jin nodded slowly.
Okay. Then I'm with you. Both of you. The afternoons were spent with Director Han's team, coordinating surveillance and evidence gathering. They had enough to arrest Sang-min and Michelle now, but Director Han wanted the conspiracy exposed publicly. Wanted everyone to see the betrayal. Wanted the Park Empire's internal rot visible so it couldn't be hidden or denied. Make it spectacular, he told them. Make it undeniable. Then we can move in and clean up what's left. The evenings belonged to Ji-hoon and Amara alone. They spent them in his painting studio, where he taught her to see colors differently. Showed her how to turn pain into beauty, grief into art. She told him stories about Lagos, about Alua's terrible jokes, about teaching Chisholm to read, about her mother's okra soup that never tasted the same when Amara tried to make it. What will you do? Ji-hoon asked one night, paint on his hands, exhaustion in his eyes. After this is over. After we survive or don't survive. What's your dream? I don't let myself dream anymore. Dreams are dangerous. So is living. Tell me anyway. Amara considered. I want my siblings here. Safe. I want Keen to get proper medical care. Chisholm to go to university. I want. She stopped, the dream feeling too big to say aloud. Tell me. I want to open a school. Security training for women. Self-defense. Awareness. How to survive in a world that's designed to hurt them. I want to teach people to protect themselves so they don't need people like me. She laughed bitterly. Stupid, right? A bodyguard, wanting to make bodyguards obsolete. Not stupid. Beautiful. Ji-hoon set down his brush. When this is over, when we're both alive and free, I'll fund it. The school. Whatever you need. Not as payment. As partnership. You teach people to protect themselves. I'll provide the resources and infrastructure. Together, we build something good. You can't just throw money at my dreams. Why not? I've been throwing money at mine for 16 years. Might as well invest in someone else's too. He moved closer to her. Besides, I have selfish reasons. If you're running a school, you'll have to stay in Korea.
Stay close to me.
And I'm discovering that I don't want you to leave after this job ends.
Yehor.
I know. I know this is complicated. I know I come with baggage that could sink a cargo ship. I know you're here because I'm paying you and because you feel responsible for saving me. But I also know, he touched her face gently, I know that when I'm with you, I remember who I wanted to be before the world told me who I had to be. And that's worth more than money or safety or any rational reason to walk away. Amara let herself lean into his touch. This is a terrible idea. Probably. But I've built my life on terrible ideas that turned out to be the only good things I ever did. Why stop now? They kissed. Slow and soft at first, then deeper, desperately, like they were trying to memorize each other before the world tore them apart. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ji-hoon rested his forehead against hers. Promise me something, he whispered in Igbo, the words he'd made her teach him. Promise that if this goes wrong, you'll save yourself. Don't die trying to save me. Just survive. I can't promise that, Amara.
No.
She pulled back to meet his eyes. I've spent 3 years running from failure, running from guilt, running from the memory of watching someone die because I couldn't save them. I'm done running. If this goes wrong, we go down fighting together, or we survive together. But I'm not leaving you behind. Not again. Not ever. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're worth saving. I know you're worth fighting for. I know, she switched to Korean then back to English. I know that loving you is the first brave thing I've done since Alyua died. And I'm not giving that up. Not for safety. Not for survival. Not for anything. You love me? The words hung between them, fragile and dangerous. Yes, Amara said. God help me, yes. Ji-hoon kissed her again, and this time they didn't stop. They made love on the studio floor, surrounded by paintings of hope and covered in paint that would stain their skin for days. Two people who'd been drowning in different oceans, finding each other, and choosing to swim toward something better. Together. Afterward, lying in each other's arms, Ji-hoon spoke quietly in Korean.
사랑해요.
I love you too. And I promise we both survive this.
No martyrs. No tragic endings.
Just us, building something good from the ruins of what we were. That's a nice dream. Then let's make it real. They fell asleep there, tangled together, unaware that in another part of the compound, Michelle was making final preparations. Unaware that Sang-min was positioning his people for the kill. Unaware that sometimes love wasn't enough to save you from the violence you were born into. But for that one night, they let themselves believe in impossible things. In redemption and transformation and the radical notion that maybe, just maybe, they could be the exceptions to every rule that said people like them didn't get happy endings. The engagement party was held at the Shilla Hotel's Grand Ballroom. 500 guests dressed in designer everything, drinking champagne that cost more per bottle than most people earned in a month. Politicians and businessmen and criminals all pretending to be legitimate. All pretending not to know what the Park family really was. Amara wore a black dress that concealed her weapons and allowed for movement. She'd positioned herself near the stage where Ji-hoon and Michelle would exchange ceremonial gifts. Soo-jin and his team were scattered throughout the crowd. Director Han's NIS agents posed as servers and photographers. Daewon sat at the head table, his face a mask of fatherly pride that hid steel underneath. And Michelle, God, Michelle looked perfect. Ice blue gown, hair swept up, diamond necklace that probably cost more than Amara's entire life. She smiled and laughed and played the role of ecstatic bride-to-be with such conviction that Amara almost believed her. Almost. The ceremony began. Ji-hoon gave a speech about love and partnership and building a future together. His eyes found Amara's in the crowd and held for a moment, a silent message. I love you. We survived this. Together. Then Michelle took the microphone. I want to thank everyone for celebrating with us today. Ji-hoon and I have been together for 3 years, and every day has been, she paused, smiled, an education. In patience, in strategy, in knowing when to strike. The ballroom doors slammed shut, locked from outside. Amara's hand moved to her weapon, but Michelle was faster. She pulled a gun from beneath her gown. How had she gotten past security? How had?
Sungmin.
Of course. He'd cleared her. No one moves, Michelle commanded, her voice amplified by the microphone. Or Ji-hoon dies right here. Chaos erupted. Screams. People ducking under tables. Soo-jin and his team drawing weapons, but unable to get clear shots through the panicked crowd. But Amara was already moving, pushing through bodies toward the stage. She saw Sangmin's men pulling weapons. Saw Daewon standing, reaching for his own gun. Saw Ji-hoon frozen at the altar, staring at the woman he'd loved for 3 years. Min-seo, he said quietly, using her real name. Don't do this. I have to. You understand, right? This was always how it had to end. Michelle's gun didn't waver. I did love you once. Before it became about money. Before I realized you were too weak to do what needed to be done. You wanted to destroy your father's empire, but you were too gentle. Too moral. I'm just finishing what you started. The hard way. Gunfire erupted from the back of the room. Sangmin's team engaging with Daewon security. NIS agents revealing themselves, trying to restore order. But the ballroom had become a war zone, bullets and screams and breaking glass. Amara reached the stage just as Michelle pulled the trigger. Time slowed. Amara threw herself in front of Ji-hoon, felt the bullet punch through her shoulder, the same shoulder that had been cut by glass at the restaurant. Pain exploded through her body, but training took over. She rolled, came up with her Glock, and fired. Michelle went down clutching her leg. Her gun skittered across the stage. But Sangmin was there, grabbing Michelle's weapon, aiming at Ji-hoon. You should have just accepted your place, nephew. Should have stopped trying to be something you're not. Another gunshot. But not from Sangmin. Daewon stood 10 feet away, his own gun smoking. Sangmin looked down at the blood spreading across his chest, surprised. Hyung, brother. Family doesn't betray family, Daewon said coldly. You taught me that when we were children. Time you remembered your own lesson.
Sungmin collapsed.
The NIS agents swarmed in, securing Michelle, securing Sangmin's surviving men, securing the scene. Director Han appeared at Amara's side as Ji-hoon held pressure on her shoulder wound. Ambulance is coming, Director Han said. You did good, Miss Okonkwo. Better than good. Is it over? Amara's vision was blurring. Blood loss. Shock. The crash after adrenaline. Almost. We'll need testimony. Evidence. But the hard part, he looked around the ballroom, at the carnage and chaos and broken glass. The hard part is done. Ji-hoon's face appeared above Amara, his hands shaking as he tried to stop the bleeding. Stay with me. Please. We made a deal.
No martyrs. No tragic endings.
You promised. I'm not dying. Amara's voice was weak, but steady. Bullet went through clean. Missed the artery. I've had worse. In Lagos. In Lagos. Then stay alive so you can tell me about it. Stay alive so we can build that school. Stay alive because I love you and I just figured out what that means and I'm not ready to lose it yet. Okay. Amara's eyes closed. Okay, I'll stay. She passed out as the paramedics arrived, Ji-hoon's voice following her into darkness. I've got you. I've got you.
We survived.
We both survived. 3 months later, Amara stood in Incheon Airport watching her siblings walk through customs. Chisholm was 16 and trying to look sophisticated despite the tears streaming down her face. Keen was 12 and couldn't stop grinning, his new inhaler visible in his pocket, medication that actually worked, paid for by insurance Ji-hoon had arranged. Sister. Chisholm crashed into Amara, nearly knocking her over. The shoulder wound was healed but still tender. We're really here. We're really in Korea. You're really here. Amara held them both, breathing in the Lagos smell they'd brought with them. Red dust and plantain and home. Welcome. Ji-hoon waited by the car, giving them privacy. When they finally walked over, he bowed formally. Chisholm.
Keen.
It's an honor to meet you. Your sister speaks about you constantly. You're the crime lord, Keen said bluntly. Keen, Chisholm hissed. But Ji-hoon laughed. Former crime lord. Currently unemployed heir trying to figure out what normal people do with their lives. Any suggestions? Amara says you paint, Chisholm offered tentatively.
Ida.
Would you like to see my studio sometime? They drove to the apartment in Hongdae, modest by Park family standards, enormous by Amara's previous standards. 2 bedrooms for the siblings, one for Amara and Ji-hoon, a living room with mismatched furniture they'd picked out together, a kitchen where they'd learned to make jollof rice properly. A home. Not a fortress. Not a cage. Just a home. The trials had taken 2 months. Day 1 pleaded guilty to racketeering and money laundering, accepted a 20-year sentence in minimum security in exchange for testimony that dismantled what remained of the park organization. Sangmin died on the operating table. Michelle, Min Seo, was serving 40 years for attempted murder, fraud, and treason. Her sister had turned state's witness, provided evidence about the embezzlement, and was in witness protection somewhere far away. Ji-hoon had testified for 6 days straight, providing details about every illegal operation he'd witnessed. In exchange, he'd received immunity and a chance to start over. His legitimate businesses were thriving: the restaurants, the construction companies, the scholarship fund. He'd sold the family compound, donated half the proceeds to victims of park family crimes, and used the rest to fund Amara's dream. The Okonkwo Defense Academy opened next month. A school teaching self-defense, security awareness, and survival skills to women and girls who needed it. Amara would run it. Soo-jin would teach tactics. And Ji-hoon would handle funding and operations, using his business degree for something good. That evening, after Chisholm and Keen had fallen asleep exhausted from travel, Amara and Ji-hoon walked along the Han River. The same path where he'd first told her he was falling for her. Where she'd first admitted she was falling back. Director Han called, Ji-hoon said. Wants to meet next week. Consultant work for the NIS, helping them understand organized crime from the inside. Legitimate work. Good pay. What do you think? I think you should do what makes you happy. You make me happy. This. He gestured at the city, at the river, at the normal life they'd built from the ruins of their pasts. This makes me happy. Helping take down the systems I used to be part of makes me happy. Is that enough? More than enough. They stopped at a bench. Saturday. Watched the water flow past like time they'd somehow managed to steal back from fate. Do you miss it sometimes? Amara asked. The power. The money. The empire.
No.
I miss my mother. I miss who I was before the world told me I had to be Park Ji-hoon, heir and monster. But the empire?
He shook his head.
That was never mine. It was a prison I inherited. I'm glad it's gone. What about your father? I visit him once a month.
We talk.
Really talk for the first time in years. He tells me stories about my mother. I tell him about the academy. Ji-hoon searched for words. We're trying to be father and son instead of crime lord and heir. It's strange. Uncomfortable sometimes. But good. Better than what we were. Amara leaned against him, careful of her healing shoulder. Alyua's daughter, Zainab, I got a letter from her yesterday. She's doing well. The trust fund Ji-hoon set up is paying for school, for her aunt's medical bills, for a future she didn't have before.
I'm glad.
Me too. Amara was quiet for a moment. I used to think about Alyua every day, about how I failed him. But now I think, maybe I didn't fail. Maybe I just couldn't save him. And maybe that's not the same thing. It's not. Failure is giving up. You never gave up. You just survived long enough to save someone else. I saved you. We saved each other. Ji-hoon took her hand. That's what partners do. The words settled between them, warm and permanent. Partners. Not bodyguard and client. Not crime lord and protector. Just two people who'd been drowning in different ways and chosen to swim toward each other. Ask me again, Amara said quietly. What you asked the night before the engagement party.
Ji-hoon smiled.
What's your dream?
This.
Right here. You and me and my siblings safe. The academy opening. Making a difference instead of just surviving. Loving you without feeling guilty about it. Being loved back. She met his eyes. This is my dream. And for the first time in 3 years, I'm living it instead of running from it. Me too. Ji-hoon kissed her softly. Then he pulled back, suddenly nervous. I have something for you.
He handed her a small box.
Inside was a key. What's this? Key to the painting studio. I'm putting it in your name. Half of everything I own is yours now. The studio, the academy, the future. Everything. Because he took a breath. Because I want to marry you. Not a crime family wedding with 500 guests and ulterior motives. Just us. Your siblings. My father via video call. Something real. Something that's about love instead of power or strategy or survival. Will you? Can I? Amara kissed him before he could finish. Yes. I didn't finish asking. I don't need you to.
Yes.
In every language I know. Yes. They sat on the bench by the Han River, two people who'd been hired to protect each other